The set point theory teaches us that we would enjoy the journey, not the destination of life events. And it's important to remove the illusion that there is only one thing in this world that can make us permanently happy.
What is the perfect bite? That mix of flavors, textures, colors, and aromas that come together in one amazing amuse-bouche. Big ideas expressed in small bites. That's our podcast, a variety of inspiring topics to make your financial goals and dreams a reality.
Brought to you by Clark County Credit Union for your weekly serving of food reviews, financial education, and life hacks that your future self will appreciate. It's the perfect bite of interesting information to start your week. Welcome to episode 67 of The Perfect Bite. I'm Crystal Price.
And I'm Shannon Hiller. Let's dig in. We love trying new dishes at The Perfect Bite, and this week we're sharing a social media gem, a mono pizza and Italian cuisine. Next, we'll talk about the pros and cons of both leasing and buying your next car, and finally, we'll share what it really means to be happy.
Each week on The Perfect Bite, we'll visit a locally owned Southern Nevada restaurant that we hope will become your next new favorite. This week, we're sharing a newly discovered pizza and pasta joint, a mono. So I had seen a lot of things on social media, on TikTok, about this crazy pizza place. I never knew where it was. I assumed it was someplace off the strip, but it turns out that it's located in the northwest part of town off of Tenaya and Ann Road. And I believe on a previous episode when we interviewed Matt Kershaw, he actually said that this is one of his go-to locally owned places.
Favorite spots.
Yeah. So this is one of Vegas's most popular TikTok and Instagram spots. It's said to have a unique twist on their food. One of the videos that I watched on YouTube, because I was really doing my research, they said that a mono was the most viral pizzeria in the world for Las Vegas. So if you look up pizza joints and you're looking at videos, a mono will be the top spot one. So I visited during a Wednesday afternoon. It was the middle of the workday. I knew we needed to do some research for the podcast. I was like, what can I do that, will do a dual purpose, fill me up, but also give me some content to share with all of our listeners. And a mono just happened to be down the road. When you go into the pizza spot, it really feels like a New York pizzeria. It's a cozy little spot with lots of memorabilia on the walls, handwritten chalk menus displaying the food items, but also recommendations of some of their accolades, which I was impressed by. It said that they were featured in 21 Things to Eat Before You Die. So I can check that off my list. Also, they've seen, as seen on Access Live. And I think, is this the one with Mario Lopez? Did you ever watch that? Or
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So they were featured on Access Live. So pretty cool. Upon entering, I was greeted with a smile and was asked how they could help me. I was a little shocked because it was, when you walk in, it's literally, you walk into the little hostess booth. It's a very cozy place. I told him I wanted a table for one, and right away he was like, okay, just a moment, ma'am, I'll get that ready for you. Sat me down, took my drink order, and it was very efficient. While I was walking up to the store on the window front, they already had some of their featured items, what their popular items was, and one of the items was called a fat baby. So I'm like, what is this fat baby? I must try it. So as soon as I sat down, I was like, yeah, I already know what I want to order. I'm gonna do the fat baby. I think usually when I go out to restaurants, I try like fettuccinis and stuff, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go classic. I'm gonna do a spaghetti and meatballs. So that's what I got. And this thing, you will have to check out our social media post. I'm going to share a photo of it. It's like a monster. It's a baguette. Like, how do I even say this? So it's a baguette that's been stuffed with spaghetti and a large meatball. So like almost think like a cherry on top, but it's a meatball.
Okay.
And it's drenched in pasta sauce. Cheese is dripping off the side. And it looks almost like a waffle cone, but on steroids. And it's a baguette.
So the baguette is the waffle cone.
Yes.
In this holder.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the inside has been carved out to hold all the
How do
spaghetti
you eat that?
Goodness.
Do you have to put it on your plate, or do you
when he brought it out to me, he also brought me a stack of napkins.
A bib?
Stack of napkins. You're going to need this. And then a smaller dish with a fork and a butter knife. And so what I did, I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I just kind of scooped it out like I was in construction. And Scoop some on my plate,
Okay.
chopped the meatball, went back in, carved out some of the baguette.
That's funny. It does sound very messy.
But I didn't make a mess though. The stack that he brought me, I didn't end up using. I only used one napkin that was already on my table. So it really depends on how you decide to tackle it. But I enjoyed it. And I loved that the baguette was like kind of like soaked in the meatball sauce. So like, if you're eating like French bread, you might want to dip it into the sauce. So it was like already perfectly, it wasn't soggy, but it had the nice flavoring, and then the outside was nice and crispy. I could dip it in some cheese that was already running down below. It was a full experience, you guys.
Cheese.
So I did the spaghetti and meatballs, but they have a lot of other combos on their menu that are beyond traditional pizza pasta type things. So some of the things that I noticed on there was a surf and turf that you could get with crab legs.
Whoa.
So if you're a seafood fan, try that out. They also had the Big Texas, which included ribs and mac and cheese. And of course the classics. My fat baby with spaghetti and meatball was $19.95. So for me, that was like a good price. Definitely more than I would spend on a regular lunch out. But for that experience, definitely worthwhile. I can definitely see myself coming back. One thing that I do want to try next time I come is the calamari. I love calamari. If you listen to previous episodes, I often mention I order the calamari and whatever else. I didn't know they had calamari, but when I was reading the reviews, many of the reviewers shot out the calamari. So I'm like, oh, I missed out on the calamari. So I'll be back. My recommendation for you, if you are planning on visiting, is to make a reservation, unless you're picking up to go. The restaurant is, like I said, very cozy. So you want to make sure that you have a guaranteed spot to sit down, eat alone like I did, or eat with friends. I want to say that when I went in there was like 4 tables for 4 and 3 tables for 2 people. So it is a tight spot. They can combine tables though. They did a combination. There was a group of 8 in there when I went, and they just kind of combined tables. So they can make accommodations, but you need to let them know in advance. And also, another reason to make a reservation is that Amano is not just a local spot, even though it's kind of tucked away in that Antonia area. It's also a tourist destination, which is off the strip. So you never know who's coming into town, especially if you're going to go on a weekend. Tourists are hitting that place up too, because it's a very popular place to visit. Well, if you at home have a recommendation for a restaurant or a dish for us to try, send us a message at theperfectbite@ccculv.com. We're always open to new ideas. Getting a new vehicle is a very exciting milestone. Next up, we'll share the pros and cons of buying versus leasing your next vehicle.
Do you buy or lease your vehicles?
Buy.
Have you ever leased before?
I'm scared.
I leased once when I first got out of school and moved here. And I think it was because my dad wanted me to have just like a steady, reliable car.
Okay.
And my grandparents always leased cars. Like every 3 years, they just had a new car. So I think like if there's someone, pros and cons, right? Like, so we'll cover those. But people who don't want to deal with
oil changes.
A car getting older or anything like that. So like me being young and not knowing how to take care of a car very well, and my grandparents not wanting to like ever be stuck with a broken down car or anything like that. Like leasing made sense for them. But financially, there's other pros to leasing a car. Sometimes it can be a lower payment if you're only going to do it for 3 years versus buying a car. It depends on, I think, the loan that you get as well to buy versus lease. And then you would have less of a down payment. So sometimes you don't have enough to put down. Leasing might be a good option because then you don't have to have that money up front. Cons of leasing the car is you are limited to your mileage. I remember I had to drive back and forth to California a lot, and I was like, oh my goodness, I am going over my limits here, and they will charge you when you go to trade in if you've gone over your miles. So something to keep in mind. And then other additional costs, if you have any kind of damage, wear and tear, scratches and dings, the dealership might charge you for that as well. And if you want to get out of your lease early, there is usually a fee or some kind of penalty as well. Also, you just don't own your car. Sometimes you want to be able to own something, pay it off, and continue to drive. That will never happen with a lease. You'll just really always be
customize it too much anyways.
Exactly. So who is leasing ideal for? If your goal is to have a low monthly payment and drive a new vehicle every few years with little hassle, then leasing may be worth the potential additional costs. So the next option is buying the car. What are the pros of buying? No mileage limits. You can drive as much as you want, and you wouldn't have any extra fees even when you get up to, those 100,000 miles in a year with all your road trips. No wear and tear charges. So you inevitably will get that first ding or scratch that you just get so mad about. No penalty. That's your car. You take care of it yourself. The ability to sell or trade your vehicle. When you fully paid for your car, you have the option to trade it in or sell it. And so you just have a lot more control, right? You own the car, but you also have all of the risk and all of the maintenance as well. Another a con for buying the car is sometimes you have a higher monthly payment. You'll spend more each month on the car payment depending on your loan. And then you also may have a down payment required. So unlike leasing, you'll have a big chunk of money that you put down out of your savings to help reduce that monthly payment. Number 3, long-term maintenance costs. So owning a car means you're responsible for the parts that break, and you might own it longer than your warranty. So with a lease, typically that's completely covered, right? The warranty is still during your lease term. So once your warranty is expired, you're responsible for all of the repair. So who is buying ideal for? If you want to own your vehicle and keep it as long as you want, then buying may be your best option. And I think that's like certain people, like they're going to run that car into the ground. Yeah. They're going to get as many years out of it. And then other people just want to have a new car and like refresh a lot and just have something new. So it really depends on what you're looking for. And then you have to make it work for you. You could have cash from the old vehicle to trade in on your next one if you did decide to buy. So definitely options. Yeah. And now a break from our sponsor.
Clark County Credit Union members have received more than $73 million in bonus dividends since 2001 just for using the credit union services they need every day. Since CCCU is owned by our account holders, they earn the dividend, not shareholders. This year, we returned a $2.6 million bonus dividend to members with auto loans, credit cards, and checking accounts. Open an account today and start earning your own bonus dividend. Funds privately insured by American Share Insurance.
Next up is our Future Self segment inspired by the Happiness Project. What does it really mean to be happy?
That's deep, Crystal.
Right. Anyone?
I know.
Well, in today's episode, we're going to share some wisdom and advice to boost your own joy. Number 1 is happiness isn't something you feel, it's something you do. And when I read this at first, I was like a little bit confused. Like, I thought you do feel happiness. What do you mean it's something you do? So it looks like Yahoo.com, they surveyed a group and that did a 30-day experiment. And what they did is they asked everyone to write down 3 things that they were grateful for and to say thank you to someone at least once a day. So this is an action item. And people who participated in this 30-day gratitude experiment said that they started to find joy in the small everyday moments. And then after time, they started to realize that it's not something you feel, but something that you do. We don't have to earn it or be good enough. We just have to practice it. So these daily rituals, writing down what you're grateful for. I know, Shannon, in the past, you've mentioned having like that journal. Things like that are actions that help change and boost your mood.
Well, yeah, if you know you have to write it down, you're going to look for it during the day. If you didn't have to write it down, you would just kind of go about your day and not pay attention. So it shifts the focus outside of you a little bit. And you're like, oh.
And then saying the thank you too. It's like really acknowledging what's being done in your favor to help you out, whatever it is. And then hopefully spreading some joy to somebody else. You know, maybe they weren't used to hearing you say thank you.
And it's just nice.
It is.
And polite.
Be a nice
so
person.
just do it.
Number 2, winning the lottery won't make you happy indefinitely. And I think that this is like something a lot of us have kind of learned over time. You know, you hear about the people who win like the Mega Millions or these different jackpots and things like that. And yeah, they have a great maybe 6 months, 1 year, and then all of a sudden they're destitute and they had to sell everything or they were robbed or whatever it might be. So winning the lottery won't make you happy indefinitely. It's a good example of set point theory. So what the theory states is that the increase in someone's happiness in response to life events like winning the lottery will return to its baseline after time. So it's temporary. The set point theory teaches us that we would enjoy the journey, not the destination of life events. And it's important to remove the illusion that there is only one thing in this world that can make us permanently happy. So money will not make you happy. It's being appreciative, being grateful, things like that. Next recommendation or tip for you to remember is that being happy is more than satisfying your impulses. Have you ever impulse buyed or done something like that just to make yourself a little happy? Maybe you're having a sad day and you go shopping or something.
Never. No, yeah.
No,
I
do it all
know.
the time.
I do that too, because I feel like sometimes it's just a quick, like, I don't know, numbing of what's going on. So like, even if I'm feeling stressed, I'm like, oh, Amazon is there for me, and I'll go get something really quick.
Be here tomorrow.
But overnight.
Wait.
Yeah. No, I do that for sure.
In this study, it says that happiness correlates to 4 experiences: relationships, contribution, mastery, and reflection. With relationships, a feeling of connection and belonging, being seen for who we are, that makes us happy. The contribution section, it says it's a sense that we're offering something to the world that's uniquely our own and makes a difference to others. So we want to contribute. Mastery means growing and working to be better versions of ourselves. Okay, we want to master that. And reflection, making time to quiet the mind and think of where you are currently in life. Reflect back, review, what's gone on. I guess I can see it. It makes sense. These things would make you happy, these different experiences. To have happiness, we need to say yes to things that strengthen our relationships, help us contribute to the world, or allow us to master new skills and learn to resist things that just satisfy our impulses.
Yeah, I think hearing that now, like, satisfying your impulse, like just doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I want to do this. I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to go eat this. I'm going to go watch this, whatever. But there's other things you said get you outside of yourself. And it's not just like, this is going to satisfy my immediate, thing. It's like a bigger picture. So I like that.
Definitely big picture. How are you going to contribute to the world?
Yeah.
So some things that you can do to get this is maybe get less screen time and spend more time looking at nature, people that you care about, and even yourself. Those will help you satisfy those impulses. And then finally, we can find happiness at work. I know it sounds impossible. Just joking. I love my job. I do. But it's important to pay attention to how you're showing up at work, because that's what you'll get back from your coworkers later on the day. So yeah, if you come in grouchy with an attitude, how do you think your team's going to respond back to you? Same way, grouchy and with an attitude. So find happiness at work, reflect what you want to do, and basically think of it as you are the culture and we're all affecting each other. We want to hear from you. Send us your financial questions or money topics that you'd like to learn more about, and don't forget any fun local food recommendations. Our email is theperfectbite@ccculv.com.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode, brought to you by Clark County Credit Union. For additional money management tips and financial calculators, check out our website at ccculv.org. Now that was The Perfect Bite.